within a split second, I get Nigel, I flip him, I put his water down, and I look, and I only have Nike and Irie, and Gunther is gone. And I start this internal rant about how I am so exhausted. I am so exhausted with everything, not just the emotional part of Nigel's thing right now, like having to have him have 2 major abdominal surgeries, and how he went from fine to not walking and all of this stuff, but also the physical aspect of it. He's not a small dog. And so I have had to lift him and carry him and move him and do all this stuff. And I literally went into this internal rant about how this adolescent German Shepherd has picked the absolute worst time to be an adolescent German Shepherd. Yes, today on the podcast, we are talking about leadership beyond leashes. Would your dog come back to you if you let go of the leash? That's what we're asking today. And what can you do about it? Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. Some real talk for a second. If you've been doing all the things to help your dog, whether or not they're fearful, reactive, or maybe just a little excitable, nothing seems to stick, it might be time to look in the mirror. And no, this isn't a shame game. It's actually really good news. Because the truth is, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just that you haven't been focusing on the one thing that you can control. And that's you. Inside the Fearless Framework, my 12-month online program for dog lovers like you, we shift the spotlight from fixing your dog to transforming your leadership. And yes, I know, change is hard. But you know what else is hard, my friend? Living stuck in fear or frustration or confusion. You don't have to stay there. If you're ready to break the fear cycle, build calm confidence, become somebody your dog trusts to follow, the Fearless Framework is waiting for you. Links inside the show notes. I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome. If you are brand new, hello, welcome. So glad that you are here, my dog-loving friend. Listen, if someone told you about this podcast, say thank you from me, because we really are trying to reach more and more people to not only, if I were to be asked what it is that I want to accomplish, it literally is, it's twofold. I want everybody to know that you are enough. I want you to know that you are enough. I want you to know that you have it in you to live harmoniously with your dog without having to rely on all the tools and all the treats and all the stuff. You actually have it in you. And it's just a little bit, it's tweaking. It's just some tweaks. And the second thing I want for everybody is for your life to be easy. It shouldn't be a daily grind with your dog, right? It shouldn't be a daily grind. Life should be easy, and your decisions around what to do with your dog or in this situation should be easy because you get it. You understand the dog. That's kind of the goal. So I'm hoping that this podcast is that for you. I'm hoping that it is that for you. I'm hoping that I'm dropping some aha moments and some how interesting moments where you're like, oh, this will make things easier. That's my goal. So anyway, welcome. Welcome. Today I wanted to talk about a concept. We're gonna be talking about leadership. Leadership. Oh, she's talking about leadership, the dreaded word. I want to talk a little bit about leadership, but I wanted to talk to you about leadership beyond leashes, like leadership without leashes. What it really means to be somebody worth following. You ever asked yourself this question? If I were to let go of the leash right now, would my dog stick around? And if they did kind of take off, would they come back? You know, if I was standing in a field full of squirrels, I don't know why you're in a field of squirrels. You know what? Honestly, if I was in a field full of squirrels, I'd be kind of scared. I'd be like, why are all these squirrels here? That was a weird visual. Actually, I don't know. We were just talking in one of the Facebook groups, and I used the word chipmunking as a verb. Let's go chipmunking together. I don't know. If you're in a field full of squirrels, maybe run. There's something wrong. The squirrels have taken over. Take cover. All right, that's a bad example. Okay, let's talk about, I guess you know what I mean. The point is, if you didn't have the treat pouch, if you didn't have the leash, if you didn't have the things that allow you to control your dog's behavior, would your dog still stick around? Would you still be relevant to your dog? That's the question. And if that question made you go, oh, no, then I want you to kind of sit in. Let's buckle in. Let's talk about this. This isn't really well thought out. I'm just going to say that. It's one of those things where I was just kind of thinking about some stuff. And in particular, the idea that there's so many people out there that have gone through all of the right, quote unquote, right steps. They get a dog, they take them to puppy class, they take them maybe to like basic obedience class. They're doing all the things. And yet, there's something like the dog is still just being a dog, right? Just doing its own thing and chasing after squirrels and barking at the mailman and barking at every single car that goes by and doing all the things. And you're like, why isn't this working? Right? So this episode is for you. If you've tried all the obedience and it doesn't stick, or you feel like your dog only listens to you when you have food, that's a big one. I know that's a big one for a lot of people. Like, I only feel relevant if I'm holding a treat. And also, if you're craving more connection and maybe not as much of the controlling stuff, then let's buckle in. Let's kind of talk about it. Because leadership is not dominance, okay? I think that's why a lot of people get all prickly about the word leadership. We somehow have associated leadership with dominance, or even worse, dominance with abuse. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where any of that came from. And leadership isn't control, right? If your quote unquote leader is controlling you, that's not real true leadership. So it's not really yanking or yelling or micromanaging. And it's not about being the boss of your dog, right? It's really about focusing in on you being an influence in the dog's world, to be a partner, to partner up with them in the world of Humansville, which, again, makes no sense to dogs, right? Makes no sense to dogs. Us humans, we're something. You know what I'm saying? We're something. So, for the longest time, one of my taglines for my company, Beyond Obedience, was be somebody worth following. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean to be somebody worth following? Honestly, it comes down to trust. It always comes down to trust. It's always about trust, right? Like it always comes down to trust. The dog's got to trust you. They've got to trust that you are predictable. They got to trust that you are going to be calm, that you respond rather than react. Ooh, that's tough right now. I've been reacting a lot. I am currently a reactive dog. That's what I've decided. Just in my current state, starting off 2026 strong with the whole just acknowledgement of that I am literally a reactive dog. I'm like on high alert, stressed out all the time, just snapping at my kids because, I would never want to snap at my dogs. Oh, they have to love me. So it's about being responsive rather than reactive. It's about being predictable. That's also hard. Predictable, and I mentioned this in a previous episode recently. It's about being predictable, both physically predictable, predictable as in you've created patterns of predictability in the dog's life. Big patterns like when I get up, you're going to get fed, you're going to go outside for a pee, like those patterns, but also predictable in your energy, and predictable in your emotions. That's also not happening right now. Who's doing a checklist and being like, it's not happening right now. It's okay. You're going to give yourself grace. We're going to give ourselves grace. It's also about being fun. I've mentioned this before. If you have been joining me, and you started at the beginning, the very first episode, I talked about this idea of Wellington being the most incredible dog I ever had the experience to observe and to have him not only join me in Humansville, but he quite often invited me into his world. And he was an incredible dog. And one of the biggest lessons that dog taught me was that you can still be a calm and predictable and fair leader and also be fun. You could still be fun. Leadership isn't always just like, I'm the boss of you. Like, it's about being fun, engaging, and enjoyable. I mentioned fair. You have to have fair. You have to have clear expectations, consistent feedback, right? There's lots of times where I think, especially in today's day and age right now, we're just kind of like, we'll ask our dog to do something and they kind of do it or they don't do it at all. And then we're just kind of like, meh, I don't have it in me right now to follow through with that. That's not really being fair. You're not really setting clear expectations and you're not giving that consistent feedback. And relatable, right? You need to understand who they are, right? Not just dog, which is a great place to start. Understanding just the fundamentals of what it's like to be a dog. Yes, but also your dog. Like your dog's unique doginality, who they are in their core, their genetic resume. What components, what is it in them? What drives them? What lights them up? What terrifies them? All those things you need to know. Everything about their unique doginality. And if you don't know your dog's unique doginality, hey, shameless plug, take the free quiz. Go to beyondobedience.ca/quiz. Take that quiz. Now remember, if you're taking that quiz, answer it as honestly as possible. And you also want to answer it before, like the questions are to be answered as if before you train them. Like, if you had a dog that was constantly bolting out the door, if you open the door, but you've trained them to wait for you, you're going to answer the question before you train them. So that kind of thing, because we want their innate qualities, right? But it's understanding who they are, right? And here's a big one. I'm going to say this is going to be my goal, my leadership goal moving forward, is to not take it personally. I'm gonna let you in on something that just happened. So just before I sat down to record this podcast, I had to go and flip my dog. If you've been following along, you know that Nigel is currently in a rehab right now. He can't walk. I have to do massages and different kind of physio things, but I also have to flip him So he's not laying on the same side. So he's outside right now because it is a glorious day. It's a glorious day right now. Glorious. Sun is shining. It's like 7 degrees Celsius, and he is in his absolute glory. Just, he loves being outside. It's cooler out there. He hates being in the house, especially because he can't move to where he wants to move when he gets too hot. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so I went outside to flip him, and Nike and Irie and Gunther went out the door with me, which I thought, no big deal. I just have to flip him, refill his water, do all that stuff. And within a split second, I get Nigel, I flip him, I put his water down, and I look, and I only have Nike and Irie, and Gunther is gone. And I start this internal rant about how I am so exhausted. I am so exhausted with everything, not just the emotional part of Nigel's thing right now, like having to have him have 2 major abdominal surgeries, and how he went from fine to not walking and all of this stuff, but also the physical aspect of it. He's not a small dog. And so I have had to lift him and carry him and move him and do all this stuff. And I literally went into this internal rant about how this adolescent German Shepherd has picked the absolute worst time to be an adolescent German Shepherd. And luckily, there's 2 things that he's doing. One is as I mentioned before, he's running up into the field to eat horse poop. The second thing, though, that he does that scares me even more is he runs down our driveway to where the goats and everything are, but it's closer to the road, and that freaks me out. Going up the hill isn't as scary for me, and that's more frustrating. When he goes down the driveway, that's when I get really worried, because I don't think he understands what cars are. So, but I went into this whole rant in my head about why now of all times do you have to do it? And then I catch myself because I'm saying the words it's funny to me because it's not I was why is he doing this and he should know better. I'm not saying those things. I'm saying, why is he being an adolescent German Shepherd? Why is he being exactly who he is at the age that he is right now? And that's when it hit me. I'm I can't take this personally. I can't take this personally. It's almost he can't help being an adolescent punky dog more than I can help the fact that Nigel is sick right now and I'm exhausted. But I was sitting there just in my head, just what? And then I caught myself. So the whole point of all of this is you can't take these things personally. A sign of a good leadership is to be able to not take it personally. Dogs are not being dogs to just piss you off. Their behavior is not meant to just drive you crazy. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing it for some other reason. Either they are doing it because they're lacking fulfillment. They're doing it because they're lacking leadership or guidance. They're doing it because they are lacking relevance and all of those things, or they don't trust you, or in this case, in the case of my dog, he is literally just a teenage punk dog right now. It's just a teenage punk dog right now. And there's nothing that I can do about that. I can't make him age faster. I can't make him mature faster. I can't do any of those things. All I can do is go, ha, 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 look at you. So there you go. That's just literally just happened. So don't take it personally. That's 6 qualities. Let's go over the 6 qualities again. 6 qualities. You need to be calm. You have to respond. Don't react. You need to be predictable in energy, physically predictable, and emotionally predictable. You need to remember how to have fun, be engaging, enjoyable. You want to be fair, have clear expectations, consistent feedback. And under the fair, you need to know that there are canine rules and there are human rules. And you need to be fluent in both. And if you're struggling with either of those, then let's talk. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. That's number 5. And number 6 is you want to be relatable. Okay? gotta also, in part of that relatability, I want you to actually start, building out your yeses more than nos, right? Know when to say yes and not just no. There's lots of yeses in the day. Learn to say yes and no. Okay. So listen, leadership without leashes doesn't mean no leash. It really doesn't mean, when I talk about this idea of life beyond the leash and all of that stuff and leadership beyond leashes, it doesn't mean no leash, because unfortunately, my friend, you and I, we live in a world of leashes. We live in a world of leashes. We have leash laws here. They're actual laws, right? So we can't just let our dogs be going off all willy-nilly. There has to be, the use of leashes is a thing. It's not a bad thing. It's actually also an opportunity, because when we start to really focus on this, we can start to look at the leash as a form of communication and not a tool for control. If you're just strapping on a leash knowing it's there just to hold your dog back from being a dog, then we need to tweak that a little bit, my friend, right? We need to tweak that a little bit. I know I usually use this phrase a lot, but if you feel like you're the dope at the end of the rope, just being dragged along on some dog's adventure, there's a problem there. There's a problem there, right? So we want to use it as communication, not control. And also learn to use the leash as a secondary reinforcer. Not the go-to, the first thing that you do. If you haven't heard this story of my time in Texas working with a husky named Jace, and I was talking to my mentor and friend Nelson, and all of a sudden Jace jumped up onto the hood of our rental car, and my immediate response was to pull him down with the leash. And Nelson's response was, "You could have asked him first." And I said, "It's a rental. It's a rental. I'm not paying for damages on this rental." And Nelson responded with, "Well, Jace doesn't know that." And I was like, "Okay, it's also a rental." I didn't have anything after that. So, and I get it. So I am still working on this as well. Please know that I have not mastered this. So this will be something that I will always be working on. And I think it is because I started off training dogs, following the obedience stuff. And, back in the day, there would have been more impulse. What's it called? Oh, brain is not braining. It's not impulse. Somebody help me. What's that old? Oh my gosh, it's not coming to me. Brain fog. You're the best. Anyway, it was more compulsion training. Compulsion? Is that what I want? Oh my gosh, I'm looking it up. In real time. Hold on. Is it called compulsion training? The old school. You're literally "Tracy, this has gone off the rails." Yes. Yes, you're right, Tracy. Compulsion training is the correct term for the old school force-based method of dog training. There you go. I knew it would come to me eventually, and confirmed by ChatGTP. But also, never trust ChatGTP. So there you go. All right. I grew up in that era of correction and all of that stuff. And so it was kind of what we were all trained to do, and it's in my muscle memory. I hate to say it. As much as I hate to say it, it's in my muscle memory. So it is a challenge for me to think about using the leash as a secondary reinforcer, and not even a main reinforcer, but also use it as a guide. Right? So I'm really trying hard to make sure that I am asking the dog first. I'm using my hand gestures. I'm asking the dog. I work a lot on that kind of communication inside the house when there's no leashes, right? All of that to kind of make sure that I'm asking first, and then I'm guiding them with the leash if needed, and it's not my go-to reaction. So ask first, then gentle leash feedback if needed, right? We want the leash to be a whisper and not a shout. You know what I'm saying? That's all part of like communication and leash handling and all that sort of stuff. And today, you could start today. So here's 3 practical ways. Let's talk about that. Let's finish this up because this went off the rails on me again. Shocker. Let's finish this up. 3 practical ways that you can practice this today. You want to practice being somebody worth following, not by being controlling, not by holding treats. I will say this too. Treats are also controlling, right? Treats are also a crutch. Treats can also be a controlling crutch, right? So we want to start to try to practice being somebody worth following by clearly communicating and being someone who is interesting to a dog, right? To a dog. And the second thing that you can start to do to practice good leadership without leashes is to count your yeses, okay? Look around in the day and find ways to say yes to your dog. Your dog is being a good dog most of the time. Like most of the time. Your dog's being a good dog. Take a moment to say yes. Good job. You're doing a great job. So that you create that contrast that when you have to say no, the no doesn't have to be a loud, shouty no because you've said no a million times and now you really mean it. The no comes out as a contrast to them where they're like, oh, shoot, this isn't right. You don't like that? Oh, okay. It's so much easier. And then finally, I want you to ask and then guide. Use your body language, use eye contact, use your intention before you use that leash. So there you go. I hope that helps. Leadership beyond leashes. Okay. So if you want some more for that, you can join the free Facebook group, Living Beyond Obedience. You can certainly join the Fearless Framework, right? That is the 12-month online program where we focus in on all these things, learning to focus in on us rather than the dog. Amazing. You can join that by going to beyondobedience.ca/fearless. Check the show notes for those links. As always, my dog loving friend, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you are amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.